Hello, my name is Dominique, and I am the Study Abroad Advisor on campus. I also work with Tanya Kramer, who is the Assistant Director of Study Abroad, and we are located in the Office of International Student and Study Abroad Services in the Memorial Union right by the coffee shop. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about why you might want to study abroad, what your options are, and how to get started. So let's get going. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is why you might want to do a study abroad program. I think for a lot of students, they end up deciding to go abroad for some very specific thing. Like you might want to go abroad to see a specific site or take a specific class or something like that. But when people do go abroad, they generally find that it's a much bigger experience than they expected. You really just completely changes your whole understanding of the world and who you are and what you want to do with your life. The quote on there, "the best decision of my life," is something that a student specifically said to Tanya, but I hear really similar things from students all the time. So I hope you'll think about it and have a chance at that life-changing experience. The second thing that I think a lot of students ask is study abroad worth it? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the energy to do a study abroad program? And the good news is the answer is yes. This right here is part of an infographic that was put together based off of research on study abroad, and the answer that they found was definitely it is worth it for students. Study abroad is a great resume builder. It's something that you can put on your resume that shows that you have a lot of those important skills that managers are looking for today. Things like the ability to work with people from diverse backgrounds, to think outside the box, to really be that person that when something unexpected happens, you're going to be the one that jumps up and says, yes, I have an idea of how to solve this. When you do have it on your resume, it's something that they definitely ask about. To give you an example, we had a student, Adam Bergman. After he graduated, he had come back and told us that when he interviewed, he was interviewed 10 times, and in 7 of them they specifically asked about his study abroad experience. And then he chose to take a firm down in the cities with a firm that has locations in 120 different countries. So it's a really great way to not only get your foot in the door, but also to be able to sell your story. To get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty, with study abroad, it really isn't ever too early to start planning. I really recommend right away as a freshman, if you think you might want to study abroad, go ahead, take a look at what the options are and start thinking about when the best time is to study abroad. It does take at least a semester to pick a program, to start the application, to do all of the planning, getting your airline ticket, your passport, and those types of things. But the longer you work on it, the less stressful it'll be, because you can really make sure that you have the easiest time to go abroad, that you're working on it, and you're not going to be rushed at any given point with having to do a whole bunch of stuff the way you would if you pushed it into a really short period of time. It really depends, depending on your major, when the best time is to go abroad. Officially, you can go abroad anytime after your freshman year, but we are starting to have a lot of freshmen who are even going on spring break programs together with a faculty-led program where they go together with other NDSU students. The first step, if you are thinking of studying abroad, is to go ahead and talk with your academic department. When you do that, what you would do is just say, hey, I'm thinking of studying abroad. Do you have any recommendations of when a good time to go abroad would be, or what good programs might be that other students have done? And they can give you some feedback about, maybe it's better to go abroad earlier in your time at NDSU because you can take some general ed credits and take a class or two for your major or your minor. Or maybe it's better to go abroad later so that you can do some upper level coursework and do something practical like a practicum or student teaching or an internship or something like that. One really important piece that you'd want to look at is what classes you need to take for your major and when you would need to take them. And knowing that will give you an idea of what time frames would be easier for picking that. Are there certain classes that are easier to find abroad, or different times when maybe your schedule is a little bit more flexible? And then again, you can do things like internships, student teaching, those types of practical experiences that really give you great pieces for your resume. There are a lot of options through NDSU, which is pretty exciting. Time-wise, you can go abroad during spring break for 10 days. Over the summer, you could do a program as short as 10 days or as long as 2 months. You could do a semester-long program, or I personally did a year-long program, which I thought was just the perfect amount of time to really get to know the place that I was studying, which was Japan. With your study abroad programs, depending on the type of program you pick, there are some programs where you would pay NDSU tuition and fees, which is fantastic for keeping the costs down for you. With other programs, NDSU tuition is waived, and then you would pay whatever that program costs. So the cost of it really varies depending on where you're going and what you're doing. There are a lot of other options too, in addition to just studying. As I already mentioned, there's internships and student teaching. We have a lot of students starting to do volunteer programs, field studies. We have some students that are doing things like teaching English or, again, doing practicums. There also, I do have to really emphasize, there are options for any major. So whatever your major is, you can study abroad. It just depends on your major, when the best time is going to be to do that, and what types of programs are the best options for you. And then also, most classes are taught in English pretty much everywhere in the world. So even if you don't speak another language, don't feel limited to going to an English-speaking country. Again, I went to Japan. I actually did not speak Japanese before I got there, and I had a fantastic time. I learned the language a little bit, but I took most of my classes in English. As far as affording study abroad goes, one really important thing is that there are a lot of study abroad scholarships out there, both through our office and through other offices on campus. There's a lot of organizations that have scholarships. There's national scholarships. Programs have scholarships. The big key thing, though, with scholarships is that you do have to apply early. A lot of deadlines fall during early spring semester for the entire following year. So if you're thinking of studying abroad in a spring semester, you'd want to think about a year in advance for that. We do hold study abroad scholarship workshops during both semesters, so keep an eye out for news on that, or you can go on our website to ndsu.edu/studyabroad/scholarships and take a look at all the different scholarship options that are out there, as well as actually a recording of the workshop that I did most recently. There's also a lot of options as far as financial aid and alternative loans. You can use any financial aid that you're already receiving for study abroad, and one of the things that we do right away when you start a program application is we make sure that you have a budget, so you can talk to Student Financial Services and make sure that whatever program you are looking at will be a good financial fit for you before you have to make any commitments or do a bunch of paperwork or anything like that. So I really recommend, if you're kind of on the fence about whether you can afford it or not, go ahead, start an application, work with our office, talk with Student Financial Services, and then you'll be able to see whether that program is just the right fit for you. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the International Studies major. It is a neat option on campus. It is a secondary major. It's really intended to internationalize whatever it is that you're doing in your primary major. A lot of the requirements actually overlap with general education requirements, which makes it relatively easy to complete. You do also have a couple of specialized requirements, including at least 2 years of a foreign language, that you do a final project that internationalizes whatever you're doing in your primary major, and then you also must spend at least 10 weeks abroad. So that's a really great thing that you could think about to add that international component to your transcript, as well as having the personal experience. All right, so where to start? Our office is located in the Memorial Union, just right by the coffee shop. We do study abroad info sessions every Monday through Thursday at 4 o'clock. You can come in. They usually last about a half an hour, a little bit more if you have questions. We do also have a new and exciting resource room set up in our office with students who are staffing it every day from 10 until 5, Monday through Thursday, and then 10 until 4 on Fridays. So if you just want to stop in and talk with somebody, the returnee students are always happy to talk about their experiences and help you get started with thinking about options. And then the other thing is the ndsu.edu/studyabroad website has a lot of great information on it. We have an excellent search engine. We actually have information on our more than 1,000 programs, and you can use that program search to narrow it down to programs that would be a really good fit for you. And then the last thing that I just wanted to mention is that Study Abroad Day is coming up on Thursday, September 11th. We hold a Study Abroad fair from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Thunder's Den in the basement of the Memorial Union, so right in that windowed corner of the area where the food court is. come to that. There'll be tables from faculty leaders, affiliate providers. We'll have tables, just tons and tons of information. So it's a great way to browse what's out there and ask questions. We also have Global Fest going on that evening. It is going to be from 7 to 8 p.m. in the Gate City Bank Auditorium. What that is it's a film festival where we have returnee students who have put together some videos telling stories from their time abroad. I think it'll be a really interesting and fun way to hear about what they did. And then if you actually go to both events, we have a passport contest going on where you can collect stamps at both of them. And then at the Global Fest, we will give you your last stamp and we will do a drawing for $250 towards an airline ticket, which is pretty exciting. All right, so that is the exciting overview of Study Abroad. Please do stop into our office, email us, check in if you have any questions, and we look forward to working with you on Study Abroad.